Welcome back. We're back with Jeffrey Hittleman, Esquire, Supervising Attorney and Senior Citizen Law Project at Coast to Coast Legal Aid. We're talking about legal aid and the services that Coast to Coast Legal Aid provides um, to many of the folks, in particular low to moderate income. So let's talk about health, safety, and stability. I noticed that you guys have programs are pointed that way. As I read about you on your website, I noticed that all your programs were pointed to health, safety, and stability. So tell me a little bit about those projects.
Those are the basic necessities in life, right? For all of us. We
Sure.
all we all need health, safety, stability. So that's kind of the guiding light for what we do. We're trying to provide our underserved populations with health, safety, and stability. Health, uh, literally, in terms of making sure health care, that they have access to health care, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act. We help to make sure people maintain their access to that
Oh,
essential
so you
service.
guys are involved helping them from the legal standpoint with those things as well.
Yeah, if you've ever known someone who got a letter saying their Medicaid's being terminated,
Mm.
they don't know why, that's something we'd take a look at, maybe appeal that decision, and try to fight to get their Medicaid benefits back.
Well, when this big new bill hits, you guys are gonna have a lot of work. For real, it looks like you're gonna have a lot of work. So be prepared. And so in safety, so how are you guys getting bringing coast to coast legal into safety?
Safety's physical safety. That's number one, meaning helping get restraining orders for survivors of domestic violence or human trafficking, protect them from their abuser. But it's also housing's part of safety,
Sure.
right? Safe housing conditions, not being evicted or foreclosed or thrown on the streets. That's part of safety. So we help with that. And then stability, we all need some basic income, right? So making sure people have access to the benefits they're entitled to, like Social Security, food stamps, uh, those basic necessities to survive.
So are you guys helping with employer employee issues? Do you do that as well or no?
We do some of that. We help with unemployment benefits.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
where I was leading to.
Yeah. So sometimes someone will apply and get denied, and then we'll go in and help appeal that and try to get them the unemployment benefits that they're entitled to.
Okay, so especially now, we have a lot of layoffs going on, and
Hmm.
things are hitting the businesses, in particular small businesses, is hitting them pretty hard. And but there's a way that illegally that you have to do this right. You just can't.
Yeah.
Okay, you're fired, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
There's some things that have to be done. Correct.
For sure. For sure.
So when we talk about stability, and I love this health, safety, and stability, and putting that in under a project, definitely understanding that we have to have all three in order to live.
Everyone does.
Yeah,
Right?
everyone
Yeah.
needs it, no matter how
Yeah.
much money you have or
Yeah.
don't have. Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
So my question would be this: are there um, income limitations for you guys' work?
I'm going to give a lawyer answer here.
Okay. Oh God, I'm kidding.
For the most part, we look at the federal poverty guidelines. Most of our services we're targeting to people under 125% to 200% of the federal poverty guidelines.
Okay, that's a pretty large margin, though.
Yeah, and because we look at it in South Florida, can you afford a lawyer? If you're making 20,000 a year,
No, let
can you
that
afford
go.
a lawyer? Yeah. So that's who we're really trying to help.
Okay, so you're up. You're saying you're up to 200%.
Some of our programs, yeah.
It depends on the program.
Yeah.
Different programs have different a
Yeah.
different items. I would think that the one involving trafficking and things of that nature, um, or the victims, the income is kind of negligent, right?
And that's usually the case. Yeah, we hear a lot of stories from people who say, I was going through this alone. I didn't know there was someone who could help navigate the court process for me. Uh, Yeah.
I keep harping on that. I keep harping on that victim in the court situation because I think all the programs you're doing are great, but I think that helping victims understand how the court process works,
Mm.
what can and cannot be done. I think that is huge because if you're a victim, you may think, especially in our, as I state in our country, justice is blind, but it's not equal, in my opinion. So, but I think that there's a perception, and sometimes that perception can be reality that the rich get away with everything. And if someone who's got means does something to me, in particular trafficking or whatever the case may be, they do something to me, I think I have no rights when we go to court. But you come through and guide me on that, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So what are some of the things that you can do to help us with that in to help me in court as a victim?
Yeah, the biggest thing is to make sure your voice is heard, right? So you'll have a lawyer actually standing up at the court date in front of the judge, voicing your perspective. And not just like you mentioned at like the last court date for a minute at the end, but at each court date throughout the process and guiding you through the steps, you know what to expect, and just making sure all your rights as a victim are protected.
So I think for the most of us probably didn't even know that existed, didn't even know that we could do that. That we had so much, and that's a problem I think in our country as a whole is that we don't know all of our rights. Everybody claims to know the Constitution. Everybody claims to know the Bill of Rights until something happens to you. You know what I mean? And so we need someone like you in order to educate us. That's why you go to school all those years, right?
Exactly. And that's why that's important to us for our community to know their rights. And we do something on our social media called legal learning, where we take a topic, a legal topic, and we break it down. Plain language, easy to understand. No legalese, no Latin.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't take Latin in school.
It's like a 15-minute segment, and when someone from our community watches it, they'll leave knowing about that issue and knowing their rights about that issue, and that's really important to us.
I think that's so important to, because especially these days with the internet, there's so many jailhouse lawyers on the internet that it's ridiculous. Well, you have the right. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Let me read it for myself. Or at least have someone who has a legal degree,
Correct.
who's went to school for this and knows what they're talking about, rather than the keyboard warrior sitting behind the keyboard,
For sure.
thinking because he read something else on the internet somewhere else that now he can spout that legalese.
Gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you say that you say it in plain language, because there's therefores and there tos and all this stuff can confuse folks.
Yep.
And who are I always we used to say when I was in the Army, we used to say that we had second lieutenants and they graduate West Point and maybe they're top of their class, but did they have the common sense to apply the knowledge? So that's what non-commissioned officers were for. So I think that being able to understand that legalese in plain language is key. So definitely got to hook up to your website. So how as a community can we get involved with you?
Yes, there's a lot of ways to get involved, and we really appreciate all the support because it, like you said, it takes a community to do this. Spread the word. If you know someone having a legal issue and it might be something we help with, let them know about us. Let them know to give us a call. Let us take a look, see if we can help them. They can go to our website at coasttocoastlegalaid.org or call our intake line at 954-736-2400. We also, if you're hosting an event, if you're part of a resource fair, if you have a group that you think would be helpful for us to come talk to, we're more than happy to come out, share what we do, and spread the word. Of course, if you're a private attorney or a law student and you're interested in volunteering your time, every hour you spend can help keep a senior in their homes, can help protect a survivor of domestic violence, and really supports what we do.
So before we end this, I always have one final question, and I ask this of all my guests. And my question is this: if I gave you all the power in the world, what would you do with it? You're unlimited.
Such a good question. Wow. All right. If I had all the power in the world,
Yeah.
I would make myself obsolete, because that would mean that our seniors aren't at risk of homelessness. We don't have victims of domestic violence without guidance on what to do. People have access to the benefits they're entitled to and aren't struggling. So I would, I'd want myself to become obsolete.
Okay, that's probably one of the best answers I've ever had. I was at an event a few years back, and this gentleman was giving a speech, and he was talking about nonprofits, or what I like to call social impact organizations. And he asked the crowd, and it was mostly like 90% nonprofits were in the room. He asked the crowd, he said, "What's your mission?" And everybody was, "Oh, our mission is this, our mission is that, my mission is I do." He said, "No, what's your mission?" And everybody kept saying the same thing. He said, "No, you know what your mission is? Your mission is not to ever have a mission."
Oh, I like that.
So exactly
I
what
like
you
that.
just said,
Yeah, I
and,
like
and,
that.
and I'm telling you,
Yeah.
I've only heard two people say it, you and this other gentleman who, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, he was speaking that had to be 6 or 7 years ago.
I like
But what you said is to make yourself obsolete is that you would be obsolete is perfect. I think absolutely perfect. As- I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna steal it. So when someone ever asks me, if I'm ever on something and someone asks me on panel or anything, and someone asks me, what would I like to do? I'd like to make my organization obsolete. There would be no need for it because everybody would be equal. Everybody would have equal justice under the law. Everybody would have equal access, and everybody would be treated the same. I mean, that was Jeff. That was a perfect answer. You can't get any better than that. So before we go, please give us your contact information again.
Yes, our website's coasttocoastlegalaid.org. And then our intake line is 954-736-2400.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Jeffrey Hittleman, Esquire, Supervising Attorney at Coast to Coast Legal Aid of South Florida. We had a very, very interesting conversation, and thank you, Jeffrey, for coming in and sitting with us today. If you have some issues, by all means, please reach out. If you can't remember their contact information, please, by all means, email me. I'll be glad to pass it along. You guys are also on social media. I follow you on social media.
Yes.
And those of you that know me, I repost everything. Anything that has to do with the community and services, jobs, whatever, I repost everything. So you need to be following Jeffrey, because it may be you or someone else or someone that you know that's going to lead their services, and you want to be able to refer them to someone. And you serve Broward and Collier County.
Yeah.
So by all means, follow Coast to Coast Legal. I follow. I think I follow like way too many people, but it's all for the good. You know what I mean? And again, Jeffrey gave us such a great answer today. Such a great to make himself obsolete. Such a great answer. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Just Economy Podcast with Cornell Cruz Jr. I'm your host. This is sponsored by the Community Reinvestment Alliance of Florida. We look forward to seeing you next time.